Hey, welcome back to Leading Edge. We're going to continue now with our Thanksgiving and football themed show by welcoming a guy who, as they say, needs no introduction. Bruce Gradkowski starred at the University of Toledo before being drafted into the NFL, where he fashioned an 11-year career. Bruce grew up in the football-rich area of Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. But post-playing days, he came back to Toledo to put down roots and set up shop business-wise. Good to see you, Bruce. Happy Thanksgiving week to you. I obviously could never play at your level, but playing football games on Thanksgiving with my cousins in my aunt and uncle's front yard out on the farm where they lived in Wood County are among my favorite Thanksgiving memories. How about you? Football and Thanksgiving kind of synonymous?
No doubt about it. Two of my favorite things, eating and watching football or playing football.
Yeah.
So, Jerry, it's always good to be with you. I appreciate you having me on, and
Sure.
happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone, and a lot to be thankful for during this time and being with loved ones and so forth. And man, I remember those days though. And unfortunately, I'm 0-2 on Thanksgiving. When I was with Tampa Bay as a rookie, we lose to Tony Romo and the Cowboys.
Okay.
And then I was with the Raiders a few years later in 2009, and once again lost to Tony Romo and the Cowboys in Jerry Jones's new stadium. But it was pretty special to be able to play on Thanksgiving, so that was always fun.
You talk about being thankful. I looked it up. I had heard this, and it is true. Average NFL career, 3.3 years. You were out there, as I say, for over a decade, like an 11-year career. That's something to be thankful for. What was the key to your longevity?
Wow. I mean,
you get banged up a lot too.
It goes fast, and I can't believe that. And, I'm very fortunate because I look back and there's a lot of people that have more talent and ability than me. But man, it's just everything aligning and, number one, keeping your faith and staying strong in that. And, the most important thing probably, Jerry, in my career is continuing to focus what I can control, focus on what I can control. But because at the end of the day, sometimes our focus steers too much on things that are out of our control, and that brings us down. We worry too much. What can you control? You can always control your attitude, your effort, and your preparation. And those were three things that I've always focused on. And that's what I tell the guys at St. Francis now. So I was very fortunate to play that long. I think knowledge is one thing, but experience, that shows you and teaches you that, hey, this worked. So now it's my time to kind of try to give back and help guys to get to where they want to go.
All right. You jumped ahead to where I wanted to get to because, yes, he has just completed this fall. You accepted the head coaching position over at St. Francis. I've read about your background when you talk about the coaches that had so much influence on you as a youngster over there in Pennsylvania growing up and the influence they had on you. And you've been around coaches for your entire life, and they're not all the same. But you had to have an idea what it would be like to be a head coach. And I'm wondering how the experience now, the reality, compared with what you expected coaching to be.
Oh, wow. Well, I have a lot of respect and appreciation. Not that I didn't before, Jerry, but I'll tell you what, the margin of victory is so thin. Mm-hmm. And now being on the other side and not actually having the ball in my hand, playing the game and having an influence that way, now I have to teach in the players are a part of that outcome and helping to steer the victories. And, it's been a blast. I had a ton of fun this year. But like you talked about, I mean, a lot of guys that I've been around through my career back from when I grew up, my dad coaching me to, my high school coaches and appreciating how much they do and realizing when I got older, oh, wait, that wasn't their full-time gig. They had to go out and work before they came to practice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tom Amstutz and Toledo and Rob Spence. And then going through the NFL and, being under Gruden. Mike Tomlin, I learned so much from. Marvin Lewis. So many good coaches, Tom Cable, that I took from. And I'm a big believer that you can lead in so many different ways. There's guys that are outgoing and personable. There's guys that are stern, strict, and quiet. But I always encourage guys, lead your own way. You don't have to be someone you're not. And I just try to remember that, and I just try to lead the way I know how and that I can.
Well, you talk about those coaches as an indication you played in like a half dozen different cities, so you're exposed to different towns. You come from Western Pennsylvania, but then when it's time to finally stop playing, you end up putting down your roots in your college town of Toledo. And I'm wondering what prompted or what led that decision.
Well, Jerry, you know, the wife calls the shots. So
There you,
I met
here you go.
I met my beautiful wife Miranda here in
Miranda.
Toledo, and she's from Tiffin. And you know, we've always loved Toledo. And when I got drafted by Tampa Bay, I went there for a few years. You know, bounced around the NFL for 11 years. And when we got married in 2011, we needed a home base, and Toledo was that home base for us because number one, the community of Toledo has always been great to me. I mean, it's always felt like home.
That town loves you. There's no doubt. Your town loves you. Yep.
Well, and I appreciate that. And because this is when you grow up, you know, I'm an 18-year-old kid coming in from Western Pennsylvania. And then you get to Toledo, you meet your core friends and everything like that. And of course, my wife. So we've just really loved the area. And every city we've been, we've loved San Francisco, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, moving around. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, there's something about Toledo. It's pretty special to raise a family. And now we're fortunate to have, you know, three beautiful kids, Lily, Roman, and Lincoln, 8, 6, and 4. So God bless my wife, Jerry. If she was an all-star and an all-pro,
No.
I don't know if I'd be coaching right now.
That's fantastic. Everybody knows about your restaurant, Social, the Gastropub, they call it, out there across from Levis, Perrysburg. But I read about something. I don't know if my viewers know about this, and I want them to. The enterprise that you, I think, started are involved with over in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I started a hospice company, Pilgrimage Hospice, probably like 5, 7 years ago. I was still playing football. I was playing for the Steelers. My wife's uncle helped me start this, and we got it off and going. And it was, I always wanted to be involved. I mean, I was involved with the restaurants. We, you know, started that from scratch, and I love, you know, startups. I mean, it's cool to see the process and how it grows. And but I wanted to be more involved in impacting families and communities. And hospice is a special time, you know, not only for the patient, but for the families to have that extra support. And it was a blessing to be able to start that in Pittsburgh and just be a part of a team that at the end of the day, this is a nurse, an aide, a social worker. This is their calling in life. It's not just a job. And I just really appreciate that. And, you know, I talk about all the time doing what you're passionate about doing. And they sure do that. And, you know, with ProMedica and Mercy around town here, I mean, they do a phenomenal job. So it was cool to start that. And now I'm steering back into the football side of things. So that's what I'm excited about.
That is fantastic. Well, I wanted to catch up with you. I want to thank you for being part of our Thanksgiving show here. We got away from the politics this week and talked about some of my favorite things, football and faith. And it's fantastic to get the update from you. Best to Miranda, 3 kids, and continued success. We'll be following you over at St. Francis, too. Tell Father Rose I said hey.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Have a good Thanksgiving. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, Bruce, take care, and I'll be right back.